The big day. Okay, welcome to the very first episode of Making Magic with Daisy-May Hudson. This has been a long time in the ethers. It's been a long bloody time. I've tried every excuse in the book to make sure that I don't actually record this podcast. And sometimes we have to appreciate all the dilly-dallying and all of the every part of the journey, and then celebrate when we finally arrive. So I'll be learning on the job because this is not going to be a fully polished, glossy podcast. And I hope that as the podcast grows, you grow with me and you also see the growth of the podcast itself, and that it can be inspiration for your journey to just go out and start something, and you don't have to have everything perfect, and it doesn't need to be all, you know, glossy and gorgeous and like how you imagine it in your mind to be. That's all part of the visioning, but sometimes we can get so caught in the visioning of like, it has to be amazing, it has to be like, I need 2 cameras, I need a podcast studio, I need like incredible guests. I do have incredible guests coming up. But like all of these limitations that we put on ourselves on, and we create these internal blocks to our creativity. And really all it is about the message. It's about what you actually want to say. It's about what your heart wants to communicate to others. And look, I haven't even done my nails. This is absolutely tragic. But I'm just gonna keep going because this is letting go of the perfectionist brain. I'm just gonna keep going and only show my nails from this way. Um, so yeah, this I basically decided to come up with this podcast because I make films for my living, and it's a job that I can't even call it a job. It's like a life. It's my life. I make films for my life, and I've done it since 2013, and making films is like my biggest joy. And I get so much joy from all of the incredible like creative conversations that happen before the film comes out, or like the documentary, or I do so much kind of research and have like the most mind-blowing conversations with everyday people, normal people. And that was really like the seed of this document of this podcast, was like, I really want people to experience all of the creative magic that goes behind like documentaries or films that I make. All of these incredible conversations, whether that's with the creatives that expand the vision of what I'm making, whether it's the people that I make documentaries about, and like the impact that that's had on their life, and also the research conversations that I have that feed into the work, because human beings, I could actually get emotional now, and I am. Human beings are amazing, like amazing. And my job is a privilege that I get to experience like the gravity of the amazingness of humanity, because I get to speak to so many people and I get to hear their stories, and they tell me like their deepest parts of their heart, and they show me themselves in a way that they may not have ever shown other people, and that allows me to see just how incredibly magic humanity is, and how much beauty there is in each and every single one of us, like genuinely, and like how much people push through hardship, and how much people get inspiration and joy through hardship, and um, how every person's story is so unique and magnificent and is unique to their exact like soul path. And the other part of me is that I'm hugely into spirituality, and it has really been a guiding force in my life. ever since I had a spiritual awakening. I like to say remembrance, spiritual remembrance of actually the we're a soul in a human body, and this uh coming home to this part of me and this deep healing that I went to has enabled me to appreciate and open up to life even more, to be like so more widely open to the magic that is present in everyday life. Because you know, I've been through many struggles as well, like many hardships, a lot of suffering, um and part of that suffering has been to bring me to who I am today. And that's the other part that I love about human beings, is our capacity to alchemize anything, alchemize our suffering, alchemize our pain into purpose. And I experienced that firsthand through my own journey, um, in 2013, when me and my family were made homeless. And I'd never thought about making a film before. It always seemed like this. I was studying English and drama at uni, and I thought maybe I'd like do something behind the scenes, or I was interested in it, but it was like something that felt out of my, I don't know, how was it? If I'm honest, maybe it's like, oh, the directors are, you know, this kind of thing that isn't me. And or like maybe they're men, or maybe they go to a certain school, or maybe they come from a certain background, or maybe they've had a certain training that I haven't, or maybe they're just like, you know, it's their God-given gift that wasn't mine. And then in 2013, when we were made homeless, I had began to get interested in documentary, because I was really interested in like empathy and how can we communicate the most empathy of our experiences between human to human. And I found documentary is such a powerful tool for that, because you're literally saying to someone, this is me in all of my gorgeousness, you know, horror, um, difficulties and triumphs. And when we can actually watch something in film, we really feel it. And I would go on into other episodes to talk about like why we feel it so strongly, why it's this tool for empathy. Um, and yeah, and so I felt that when we were made homeless, it was this experience where I'm such a doer and like always want to like my I used to be called like rent a hero, because I just feel so passionate about helping people, and like if there's something to be said, say it, and if there's something that needs to be done, do it, and if there's something that needs to be changed, change it. And when we found ourselves homeless, it was really an alien experience for me, because there's not anything that you can do to change your experience. You just, in that moment, that's what I felt. And you just have to kind of wait, go into a homeless hostel and then wait to see if you can get support from, you know, the government. And I'm yeah, like I said, I'm a doer, and feeling all of that like fire to want to make a change, it felt really alien and also really hard to just feel that I had to sit and wait. And when I went to go see my friends and have a little cry when I first found out, one of my friends, shout out, who I don't often shout out, but I should a lot more, Imogen, she said, why don't you film it? And I'd never thought about that, but I had got a camera from my grandparents, like just a DSLR camera from my grandparents for my 21st birthday. And I didn't know what my mum and sister were going to be like on film, and I didn't know if I could even film, but I just started doing it. And I pulled out my camera, and we went to, where did we go? We were going on a trip somewhere. I think we are going to see my nan in Norfolk. And I just started filming them, and they were so funny. My family was so funny and so chilled. I think it was because it was me filming them, but they were so relaxed, and I was like, this might work, you know. And I ended up filming them every day when we were living in the hostel. And it was this process of just, if I could just keep filming. I didn't know what the end goal is. I didn't know whether it would even become a film. I didn't know whether we'd even get a house, but I just committed myself through like this, you know, that's why I say creativity comes from our heart and our intuition and our soul, because like I didn't know what the end was going to be or where it was going to be or what was going to happen. But I just felt like if I could film every day, then somehow I was taking our power back, and somehow I was having our voice heard, and somehow we weren't going to be invisible. And that if this film could help other people in our experience feel less isolated by knowing like other people went through it, then that's good enough for me. And so yeah, I started filming every day, and then when we got rehoused after a year, I will do an episode also on talking more about Halfway, the documentary's called, and um the process of filming and what it was like and all of that gorgeousness, because I really hope that it can inspire other people to just like, if you feel something and you want to say something, just do it. And that's also what this podcast really, I want people to feel inspired by, is just like, if you feel it in your heart, trust that guidance and don't put all the blocks around like it needs to be, I need funding, it needs to be an amazing documentary, it needs to be all this stuff. Just, I literally just picked up a camera. I didn't know how to film. I literally didn't know how to use my camera, and I just started filming. And over time I got better at filming, and over time, like, you know, it started to shape about what it was. And then when we got rehoused, I asked my friends, two friends, if they wanted to come on and produce it with me and help me turn it into an actual film, because I had all this material. And I was watching it back like, I actually think this is pretty good. I had no idea, you know, like when I started out, but I was like, I think this is pretty good. And my mum and my sister really conveyed what we were going through with such vulnerability and such power in their words, that I feel like people need to see this. And so we ended up raising £10,500 through crowdfunding and turning it into a feature documentary, which then ended up being nominated for a Grierson Award for Best Cinema Documentary, a BIFA Award for Best Cinema Documentary, and was the film, along with another film that I made about the Iceman, as I also started working at Vice as an intern halfway through being homeless. That's how I got BAFTA Breakthrough. And I mean, I never had any clue that this was going to be my journey. When I was going into a hostel, I was homeless with my family. We'd lost our house of 13 years. It was a really traumatic time to lose your home. So much emotional trauma, so much instability, so much like re-triggering of, you know, other stuff that had happened in my life. And I was so numb as well. Like I literally just was numbed out. And which is another episode that I want to do about that as well. How we go from numbness to feeling. That's a journey. I literally didn't cry or feel for frickin' 27 years. And now I like get emotional or feel touched by so much in life. And and I feel really grateful for being able to feel life so deeply after going from a place of like complete numbness. And so, yeah, this really was the first time in my life where I experienced what happens when we use creativity to turn our pain into our power. And when I first started filming, you know, we were in a painful place. I had no idea what was going to happen. But through the trusting of the process, by letting go of outcomes, by just doing what my heart wanted to do, just being in that creative experience, I was literally transforming and alchemizing our pain and our suffering into our power and our medicine. Particularly for me, you know, like it then opened up so many doors for me to become a filmmaker. That was wild. Suddenly I'm a filmmaker. um, and then also that introduced me to two of my amazing producers, um, Olivia and Cecilia, who I then ended up writing Lollipop with, because they contacted me through coming to see a screening of Halfway, and Lollipop was the first film that I wrote and directed, which is coming out in cinemas in the summer. Woo! And it all came from this pain in my life, and it makes me feel emotional again because, like, that is the magic of human beings, that we can take these experiences and then we can turn them into magic. And then when we turn them into magic, more magic comes. And that's the power of storytelling. You know, like when I can share a part of my heart with other people, it resonates deeply and it might activate parts of their hearts. And then suddenly, you know, all this sparkles and magic is happening all over the place, and people are getting activated, and people feel seen and heard and understood. And it all came from that moment of just like choosing to film and not knowing what on earth was going to happen. And now I'm here making a podcast because I want to inspire other people to, you know, awaken their own magic, make their own magic, and also be awakened to how much magic already exists in their life, because um, that's also a big part of my experience, is all of the spiritual aspect, like the multi-dimensional aspect of life, and how much love and support there are in for us in the realms which are unseen as well. And I used to think, how on earth am I gonna mix, or like, yeah, when we talk about authenticity or really standing in the truth of who you are, that's by claiming all of our whole self. And I spent ages being like, I knew that I wanted to be a filmmaker, and then my spiritual journey started opening up, and I started doing different trainings, and I started healing myself and experiencing the world in this whole new dimension of incredible everyday magic, and awakening to, yeah, my own magic as well, my own divinity. And for ages it was really hard to like claim these two parts as me, and I felt that I needed to like keep my spirituality secret, or you know, that if I brought that side to my filmmaking, how would that affect my filmmaking? Or like when I'd go into spiritual circles or like, you know, ceremonies, like not sharing that I'm a filmmaker, and that these two things kind of felt quite fragmented in my experience. And then this is also the magic of how we can start to kind of step forward in our lives and start to reclaim parts of ourselves, is by baby steps. And I think sometimes, like, we might put pressure on ourselves that we need to like stand on stage and be like, I am, you know, this and this, but actually it just starts with baby steps. And by opening a little bit of ourselves each day, each moment, how can we push through the fear, or just be a little bit more courageous each day? And merging these two parts of myself used to scare the life out of me. I was like, how on earth is this going to happen? And so much fear, and fear of like being rejected, where do I belong, abandonment, you know, all the good juicy shit. And then, yeah, I just decided like, maybe I'm just going to show a little bit more of myself in my film spaces, or maybe I'm going to show a little bit more of myself in my shamanic spaces. And then the more that I did this, the more I realized that actually only I was putting them in these two boxes, and to be myself is to be all of these parts, which is a storyteller, an alchemist, a shamanic healer, a podcaster now, and that all of these are me, and that's perfect and divine, and I don't need to reject any parts of myself to fit in. And as this journey has deepened and deepened and deepened for me, it's like there is no limit to my creativity. There's no limit to the ways that I can express myself, whether that's through a podcast, whether that's I love singing. I love singing and like medicine music. And why why do I need to limit myself in that place? And can I express myself through that? And can I express myself through dance? And can I express myself through film? And how do we just keep expanding and expanding into our heart's desires without ever putting that cap on what it means to be you? And I think sometimes you can be like, well, I'm a filmmaker, so that means I can't be a freaking singer, vet, astronaut, nurse, shamanic healer. Not that I want to do all those things, but you get the point. And that was really, I was really inspired by my inner child and my childhood, because I feel like when we're kids, that there is no limit. Like someone might say, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you want to be a tap dancing vet who has a sweet shop and is in musicals on the side on Saturdays, and is a church preacher on the Sundays. Like this is the capacity, and this is the capacity of humanity. Like that childlike wonder and innocence and limitlessness is what is inside all of us and what is available to us. But then as we get to grown-ups through all the layers of conditioning, whether it's our family, societal, all these expectations of shoulds and shouldn'ts and cans and can'ts, we start to put these limits on ourselves. Like one more, just here's another layer of conditioning, here's one more, here's another bit of suppression, here's a get down a bit more and get yourself in a box, and all of this kind of, for what reason? For what reason? We believe it's to keep us safe, but we end up sacrificing a huge part of ourselves, abandoning a huge part of ourselves, rejecting a huge part of ourselves, and then we live in pain as a result of that. And I really believe that life and love and our capacity for magic is also about unraveling, unblocking all of these limitations that we've put on ourselves. And that is a delicious journey as well. And trust me, it's not easy. Or maybe it is easy. Maybe that's another limitation. But like, it's not all flowers and rainbows, is what I want to say. Magic is really about the whole spectrum, and that we can embrace all of life, whether that's the depths of our sadness, the depths of our grief, and the heights of our joy. And really, that is to live fully. And when we live from that place, we are so widely open to all the love and the magic that is in the universe for us. Yeah, magical things happen. And so I really keep coming back to this childlike innocence in us. And that's also for me what magic is. It's that when we're children, you know, we see life through joy and awe, and until, maybe people have experiences, childhood experiences that, then start to add a lot of realism into their experience. But that magic is that childlike joy and wonder and innocence that we all have when we come to earth, that we're born with. Like when we're babies, we have that innocence. And for me, that is the truth of humanity, and it's the truth of the universe. Why did I say it like that? The universe, because I think I was about to say universal codes or universal law. And yeah, and it's of the heart, and it's like being able to walk around and like look at a leaf and go, wow, isn't that leaf amazing? And look at like a ladybird on the floor and go, wow, isn't that amazing? And I have so many people sometimes when I hear when I approach life like that, I hear the voices of different people that may have lived through from fear and lived from that level of suppression that is just, is how life has been. Like, yeah, well, it's easy to say that, or life, yeah, that's not real life, that's you're a dreamer, like all of these things, or like, yeah, but that's not real life. That's what I hear in my head, and because of voices that play out through fear and through what their ancestral lineage has told them and what their ancestors have experienced and what society tells them. But really, what I am here to say is real life can be extraordinary. And it just is. But we have to go on a journey to open ourselves to it, or not have to, can choose to go on a journey to open ourselves to it. And it's not for dreamers. It's anybody has this inside of them. Everybody can awaken to this level of living. Everyone can experience this everyday magic, and also have been, through trauma and through hardship and through suffering. And I really hope that my journey, my experiences can be an inspiration for journeying through that spectrum of life, that to live through suffering and live through trauma and to heal ourselves and to love on ourselves and rescue the aspects of ourselves that need that tenderness, or that need us to scream the deepest, darkest depths of our soul to be heard for the first time, because we weren't allowed to do that, or we never had access to that in our feeling body. And all of these amazing ways that we can release all of that stuff that we might have lived through, or that has all been part of our path as well, that has all been part of our necessary transformation in order to get to a place where you can turn all of that pain, all of that suffering into purpose, into power, into medicine, into love, and into joy, so that you too can then be a beacon of light and a beacon of magic and a beacon of hope for all the other people around you. And may we just continue to keep growing and growing and growing. And I really do, and have experienced in my life this capacity to shift from that state into living life from this magical place. And my wish is that many more people will give themselves permission to experience life from that magical place. More emotion. It's all good. It's all good. Emotion's good. We love emotion. It's because I feel it in my heart. I really feel it. And may this podcast, in all of the ways, be inspiring to other people. May you be inspired by all the incredible people that I'm going to bring on to this podcast, so you can hear the ways that they've alchemized their experience, the way that they've turned their suffering into their purpose, into their magic, the way that they now spread magic all over the world in all the ways, whether it's, to their families, to their communities, to themselves, to the earth, to like bigger than that. There's no definition of what is good or what is like, good enough, basically, but that whatever people are doing is perfect for them. And I just cannot wait to share all of these incredible people that I get to have amazing conversations with all of the time, and also to share more about my journey, share more about the way that I've used creativity and spirituality to awaken to true magic in my life, and share more about in detail, in all the juicy detail, all vulnerability, all the juicy detail of how I've transformed different aspects of my life, my pain into beauty. And yeah, I'm excited to share. So thank you for listening to my very, very, very first podcast of Making Magic with Daisy-May Hudson. And it's going to get more and more professional, and I'm going to have a nice, fun little fancy sound at the beginning, and I'm going to say what Making Magic podcast is, and it's going to grow and grow and grow. And I'm also doing it in baby steps and letting go of my perfectionist mind. And I'm so grateful for just starting out the first episode. And sometimes we just need to drop it all and just get on with it. So thank you for listening, and speak to you soon.